Hi, this is Heather with the Old Schoolhouse, and today with me is Lona Gorman of the Kansas Home Educators. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Can you please tell us a little bit about the Kansas Home Educators and your involvement with the organization?
Absolutely. Kansas Home Educators is one of my favorite things to talk about next to my kids. Uh, so, so what KSHE does is we provide support and encouragement and education for families. We have lots of events that we do, and in Kansas, we are registered as non-accredited private schools. So for KSHE, that's kind of a challenge, but we welcome that flexibility because that allows us to serve any homeschool family, no matter what way they decide to homeschool their kids. So that's kind of what we do. I help with events, and I'm also the Kansas Homeschool Expo director. So a few things that I have going on. We started out, my husband and I, in 2001, actually just as very, very low level volunteers, like we were cleanup crew. And we just stuck with it because we were passionate about homeschooling our kids. So my husband, Jeff, is actually the president and a board member. So we've been at it for quite a while.
Wow, I love that. That is awesome. So you've been at it for quite a while, so I'm sure you know the history of the organization. Can you maybe share a little bit of the origins of the group?
Absolutely. So Kansas Home Educators began in 1983, and that was before homeschooling was defined or even really allowed in Kansas. So this great group of just parents who decided, you know what, we can homeschool our kids and we're going to figure it out and we're going to come up with a way. They really blazed the trail starting then, and they formed Kansas Home Educators, and we have just taken off from there, and just so thankful for the legacy that these parents who decided to blaze the trail, which is kind of how most of us homeschoolers are. We're going to figure out a way to make it happen. So that's how it all began.
That's so true. That's so good. I mean, it's so hard for us to realize sometimes where our roots come from, that homeschooling wasn't always necessarily widely accepted. So thinking, oh, wow, it went back to the 80s, early 80s, it's just hard to think that it wasn't even really around before that, not in the way that it is now. So you
Yes.
mentioned that you help or you lead the expo. Can you explain maybe what that does for homeschoolers and any other maybe annual events that you hold?
Absolutely. So the expo is the favorite thing I get to do and get to work on. I am so excited to always be able to lead that group of great volunteers that do our expo. I started out as the vendor coordinator, and so all these vendors are my friends. I've known them for so many years. So what the expo is it's a chance for anybody to come, any homeschooler who's looking for curriculum, who's looking for information. Even if you're not sure that you want to homeschool yet, this is kind of the place to go because you can see what the options are. You can connect with local resources. I think the connections that are made at our expo are really more important than the textbooks that they can look at,
Mm.
because we could kind of find a lot of that on the internet already, or our friends are telling us what to buy. But these kind of connections with resources, speech therapists, all kinds of things that you could even imagine that you need to educate your child, you can find that at the expo. And then we also run about 30 workshops throughout the weekend. And those workshops are everything from, oh, are you just thinking about homeschooling, clear to, I'm trying to get my child into college. So we really kind of run the gamut of all types of workshops that we offer. And we have a special place called the Mentor Moms area. And that is, just come and sit and cry, laugh, ask your questions, whatever you need. And we have some amazing volunteers who sit there all weekend and
Wow.
are just ready to help. So that is what I love about our expo. And that's why I encourage homeschool parents at least come once. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what resources are out there. Even if you've been at it for a while, you don't know what you may find that's new or different that answers just the question that you have.
That is so good. And I just love that you are encouraging homeschoolers to go in person because there's so many resources on the internet, but there is just something about connecting in person. And I love that you pointed out the speech therapists and different, state resources where people are local, at these events. You would have people that you necessarily might not be able to find unless you go in person. So I love that you brought that up. So if we have any new homeschoolers, I'm sure you would point them to the expo, as you mentioned, even those considering homeschooling. Do you have any other recommendations for new homeschoolers in your state?
Yes, join our Facebook group because they have all the answers. You can ask your question there and you are going to get tons of answers and lots of support. People will say, oh, I was right there with you. We know. These are some tips. Also, we run workshops on how to start homeschooling, and we run, between 6 and 8 of those a year from all over Kansas. We travel all over our state. We are the support group for our state. So we travel everywhere. We don't just stick to the big city. So
That's awesome. So there's help for anyone wherever they are in the state. I love
oh,
that.
yes. Yeah.
So how can somebody find out more about your organization?
So just you can email me at editor@kshomeeducators.com or jump on our Facebook page and message us there. And that message will get to me and I can send it to one of our volunteers if I don't have the answer. But just get on the website, look around. You'll probably find your answer there. If not, just email and we'll get right back with you. We do lots of phone calls with families that are really having issues or problems. We're right there. So we have just a great group of volunteers who are always ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lana. You've been watching The History of Homeschooling. We'll see you next time.